let's talk about this with GOP Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Senator, your reaction to the president's move yesterday?
Well, to blame energy company profits on war in Ukraine is simply to cover up his own responsibility for this. Why are oil prices high in America today? It's because Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, has declared war on the fossil fuel industry. Remember, in the campaign, he said that we're going to put them out of business. We're going to end fossil fuel production. So if you don't want companies like Exxon or Shell or BP making high profits, the answer is lower oil prices. And the way to do that is to produce more American oil. This is an example of what I talk about in my new book, Only the Strong. The decline in American cents is not an accident. It's not bad luck for Joe Biden. It's intentional. It's declined by design. They want gas to be $4 or $5 a gallon because they want to end fossil fuel production in America.
It's going to kill them politically.
It is going to kill them politically. So they sing a different tune in the few weeks leading up to the election. But mark my words, next week after the election is over, they'll be back to their traditional rhetoric, waging war on fossil fuel production, jawboning banks to not give finances to oil, energy companies. This is, again, part of their plan to eliminate fossil fuel production.
But they would need approval from Congress, and that's not going to happen.
They
right?
would. Now, the administration has a lot of power to deny permits on federal land and federal water, to deny pipelines.
Which they've done.
Why is New England going to pay, several multiples of what the rest of the country pays for natural gas this winter to heat its homes? Because New York State won't allow new pipelines to be built to move that gas from places like western Pennsylvania.
But what he was calling for yesterday is a windfall profits tax. A tax would have to go through you.
It would.
And you know what? He's got to sound like he's doing something a week before the election. He knows that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this is all about. It's about trying to conceal their ideological agenda in the days leading up to an election when Americans are worried about feeding their families and filling up their tanks and heating their homes.
So this week, Only the Strong is out, reversing the left's plot to sabotage American power. And you open up with your service in the military. You talk about the disaster in Afghanistan and kind of work your way backwards. You also talk about energy. And here's an excerpt that maybe you could share with us.
Sure. I write, just as the Blame America First Democrats prefer unilateral disarmament for the military, they would unilaterally disarm our energy sector as well. Facing the political squeeze over high gas prices, Joe Biden went to Venezuela and Iran, not to Texas and North Dakota. Progressives look down their noses at coal miners and roughnecks while averting their gaze from Chinese slaves who make solar panels and African child workers who mine the rare earth elements behind so-called green technology.
Right, exactly. What we've been talking about today is Democrats, for the most part, want you to forget about what has happened over the last 2 years. Want you to forget about how Joe Biden opened the border, the supply chain problems, who closed the schools, did all that stuff. And, they're doing their best. They're bringing out Barack Obama, who, when you look at how many people actually lost on his side back in 2010, it's like he's the best they can do.
Well, 2010 and 2014, when I was first elected. I mean, Barack Obama is the most ideological man to be president since Woodrow Wilson. I write about both of them in Only the Strong. Joe Biden is his understudy. This is really the third Obama term. And although they want to shift their rhetoric during this campaign cycle, as I write in Only the Strong, it's a clear plan to undermine the sources of American power, not just energy production, but a strong and free economy, a strong and fearsome military, our sovereignty, whether it's at our borders or international freedom of action. These are all efforts to lay low the sources of American power by a bunch of ideologues who are at best ambivalent about America and openly hostile to its past and our history.
Okay, Brian, hold up the book, please. It's called Only the Strong.
There you go.
Buy it. You can buy it at bookstores, your local bookstores, Amazon, wherever you buy your books.